Welcome back, everybody, to the weekly recap. We are on number 15. And in these streams, I give you all news that happened over the week that is relevant and is sometimes important as well to me, personally. And before I get started, I do want to give some thanks to everybody who follows me, who helps me with my videos. A big shout out to my friend Patrick Draxler. He helps me with my thumbnails, and he does a wonderful job with my Tuesday thumbnails. He has a talent that I appreciate, and I hope that he and his wife are having a wonderful vacation right now. So big shout out to them, as well as if you want to support my channel, feel free to the best way to support my channel is to like the channel, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, share out the content, share the channel out even. It gets the channel noticed. It helps the algorithm recognize the channel's worth. And comment on the in the comment section and such. All of these things help get the channel noticed. Mostly when it does come to views and whatnot, it is mostly by people who are not subscribed. So let's try to turn that around. If you want to see more of my content, feel free to subscribe to the channel. It really does help. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subs before the end of the year. Any and all help is good. And I'm also trying to get to 4,000 watch hours before the middle of the year, because that's basically when my watch time is going to take a massive dip. So if y'all can help me push 300 hours into watch time, that would really help. Play the playlists. They do help, folks. All that helps. And I do appreciate all help. So there's another thing I would like to address. There are times when I do Uncensored and the Bar Room Tuesday nights. Last week I gave a rather brutal explanation for topics, and I was called out directly, and I respect that too. But I also do want to point this out. If I do say something that is extremely graphic or extremely insane, it is to make sure that the person or that the people are listening. Because once you start listening, you will then start to pay attention to what I will say afterward. So, yeah, when it comes to the topic of women always complaining about how they're not represented in film, and so then in entertainment, I will then say something that is so brutally insane that it will be like, wait, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? Oh, now you're listening, right? Now let me explain the other stuff that needs to be explained. It gets people's ears to perk up. Now, yes, what I say is indeed offensive in some ways. People will call me a psychopath. Some people will call me a sociopath. But it works at making sure that you're paying attention. And yes, there are other reasons behind it too. So, with that out of the way, we have a well, it looks like my camera has stopped working. So hold on one second, folks. I'm going to get my camera to start working again. And it's going to have to require me to unplug my stuff. So one moment. Okay, so let me now try using... There we go. So, yeah, instead of looking at a picture of my frozen ugly mug, you get to see a picture of my just regular ugly mug. Now, the first topic for the weekly recap, and yes, I will continue covering the Alec Baldwin story no matter how many or no matter how little views I get when discussing it, because I do believe that the Alec Baldwin situation is a very important thing in both Hollywood and our nation. So, as we all know, the rushed armorer, Hannah Gutierrez Reed, has been found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Now, I have had people in my comment section of videos asking, doesn't this mean that Alec Baldwin will get off? Now, while I am not a legal expert, I do have speculation. There are two ways in which this can go for Alec Baldwin. One, it is very bad for him. And two, it is very good for him. This all depends on, geez, my camera has this all depends on, one second, folks, I am now bothered by my camera. Okay, should again, I'm sorry for the audio problems and the audio quality, but let's see if this will work again. Alrighty, there we go. So let me just check my audio to make sure that my audio is proper. Yes, okay, good. So, hello to those in the chat. Now, this is why it could possibly be good for Alec Baldwin or bad for Alec Baldwin, depending on the how competent the legal team pursuing this case is. One, it is bad for Alec Baldwin, and here's why. She has been found guilty, yes. He is an executive producer as well as the person who held the gun. She did not hold the gun. However, she may have put live rounds in the gun. So she has responsibility for the ending of the life of Helena Hutchins. Alec Baldwin still held the weapon. But they're going to be like, but she loaded the ammo. He didn't check the weapon. He failed to check it. There are safety protocols. If you're handed a weapon, you goddamn check that shit. Not to mention him constantly badgering her to, come on, load it up, get a gun. We got to get going. Come on. Cutting safety corners. He is an executive producer and co-producer of the film. He has authority like that. However, it sounds like he misused that authority. So yes, it is very bad for him in that case because he is indeed a very big problem. In also rushing somebody when it comes to firearms invites the possibility of disaster in which a disaster occurred. So yes, it's good for Alec Baldwin, unfortunately, because it will push blame away from him. Somebody else has been found guilty. Why should I be found guilty? So it could go either way. Now, apparently, Hannah Gutierrez Reed is also having some trouble in jail while waiting for sentencing. The people requested, or her defense team requested that she have a bail set, but the judge denied, and that she will be remanded into custody because a life was ended. A person died as a result of her actions. So she has to now spend the time that she is in jail, or the time before her sentencing, in jail. Now, this is actually, if she behaves, is what's known as good time, in which when she gets sentenced, the time she spends before now and her sentencing will be taken off of her sentence. That is something you learn when you have been inside or if you know anything about the legal system. So, yeah, she'll be remanded into custody, and any time she spends waiting for the sentence will be put into her sentence or will be taken out of her sentence. So, say she gets the full, or like 3 years, she will do less than 3 years because of the time she does in jail, unless she breaks the rules, unless she gets into a fight, starts a fight, or God forbid, does something that cops up a escape charge, like touches a computer of a cop or anything like that. Yes, though, or I do know a lot of the rules inside of a jail cell. I was unfortunately incarcerated unjustly back in 2017. So Now, while media sites are actually reporting on she's not doing well in jail, they won't specify why she's not doing well in jail. Probably she's having an emotional stress. When a person who has never been arrested before goes into jail, it is very stressful. Let me explain some of the stuff to you. Now, warning folks, there is going to be graphic content here. Um Let me run you through what I and others went through when they are arrested and processed. You are put or you are brought to the jail. You are then strip searched, meaning you have to take off all of your clothes. You have to move certain bodily appendages to the side. You got to bend over. You got to spread your cheeks. You got to lift. If you're a guy, you got to lift them. Make sure there's nothing hiding underneath. And yeah, you even got to spread it. Or if you're a woman, you got to spread your cheeks, and you also have to spread, or most likely be submitted to an invasive vaginal exam to make sure that you're not sneaking something in through that area. This is how thorough they are when you are being processed. You are then given a pair or your items, piercings and whatnot are taken off of you. Rings, like the ones that I got, would be taken off you. They would be vacuum sealed and put into a container or into a bag. Your clothes would be taken off of you. They won't be washed, I don't think, and they will then be put into a bag. The only thing you are allowed to take in there besides your body is your underwear. And they don't give you extra underwear unless you buy it with or with your commissary and whatnot. You have to have commissary provided to you by outside sources. And there are normal sanitary things that are provided in commissary, which are free: pen, paper, and deodorant and whatnot. So she is now then put into a cell with other people. She is somewhat of a celebrity because now people know more about who she is, what happened. They know about the Alec Baldwin shooting case, most likely, if there's news on the TV, which sometimes there is. Some people might want to make a reputation by going after her. Some people may not. She may be assaulted. She may not be assaulted. It all depends on who she runs into and what their preference is. The way she will be treated by the deputies and whatnot. Respect is to the bare minimum. However, there is respect there. You will be ordered to do stuff, and as you are ordered, you will either do it or you will suffer consequences. You do not have rights. Well, you have basic human rights in jail. However, all of the things that we take for granted, like freedom of speech and whatnot, when you're told to shut up, you better shut your mouth. When you're told to lock into your cell, as in go into your cell and close the door until it locks, you do exactly that. Because not doing so will be seen as an attempted escape charge, and you will get an automatic 7 years, depending on what state you are in. In New Mexico, I haven't looked it up. This is some of the stuff that happens. If you take meds, the medical team will decide what kind of meds you are allowed to take. And they will also have to do a checkup, background, and all that stuff. You will also be looked over by the medical staff to see if you have any sort of problems before you go into jail and then after when you are getting out of jail. Now, I do not know what it's going to be like for prison for her. This is only the jail part of it. While she looks to remain for, or is remanded for sentencing. She will have 3 meals a day. She will be allowed out of her cell for recreational activity. And she could try talking with the deputies if they decide to be talkative. And she might even make a couple friends inside. But one thing she should definitely do, be careful what she says to certain people. You never know when somebody's going to take what they know and try to use it to their advantage. So yes, all of this is meant to basically stress the fuck out of you. And Hannah Gutierrez Reed is going to undergo that stress. When I was put in jail for a reason that I couldn't even fathom and didn't understand why I was being arrested and whatnot, I cried for 5 days. I was in such a depressed state that they actually had to send in doctors to check on me. They were wondering if I was suicidal. I wasn't. I was in shock because I couldn't process why I was being arrested for something I didn't do. And believe me, it's hard. You are now in an area where you don't have any rights beyond the basic human rights. You are in an environment in which some people may be hostile towards you depending on what charges you have. For her, involuntary manslaughter, people may be willing to stand up to her. People may actually give her a wide berth depending on what happened. But if they know the details, it's involuntary manslaughter in which she wasn't the physical perpetrator. So yeah, they might want to check shit. But also, she's a former OnlyFans girl. So yeah, you might have a female who wants to get frisky with her. This is the reality of it, folks. This is what she has to look forward to. So yes, if this makes you uncomfortable, that's what she's going to be dealing with. It's also a good thing to remember if you get arrested or decide to break the law. You are going to be violated without being sexually violated when you are processed. You are going to feel like, oh my God, this is so violating. This is so embarrassing. They don't care. They got a job to do, and you have a job to ensure good behavior. So, my camera froze again. It seems that I'm going to have this problem, folks. So, I'm going to edit my audio avatar and go to this one because it's more friendly. Now, I'm also going to try to get this problem fixed because it seems that I will just have to use my front cam. So I will use this cam. Now let me see if the audio is working. Okay, so the audio is working fine. I'm going to have to use my subpar camera. I am sorry for that. But let's get into the question by Neozoic here. How do you do, Neozoic? Fun question. How would Goku and the Trinity, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, would think of each other? And would Goku join the Justice League? Goku wants to fight. Goku is looking for a chance to better himself physically. Now, yes, he also does believe in saving people. He would want to constantly be testing himself against Superman. He would also constantly want to test himself against Batman because, well, Batman would also want to learn about certain things. Wonder Woman would probably be a good challenge for him as well, for a good sparring partner. And yes, he would also save people and do the best he could. However, Goku's say Darkseid came to town, Goku would hold back at first until he recognized just how evil Darkseid is. He's willing to kill innocents, and he would do so by the thousands, or probably hundreds, or however many people are around. He would do it without caring. Now, this would infuriate Goku, and he would step it up. But Goku would step it up a little bit at a time. Put Vegeta in there, Vegeta would slaughter Darkseid as soon as he saw what he was doing. He would go all the way up. He would go as high up as he could, meaning, or Nowadays, he would probably go into alter ego and he would fuck Darkseid up. So that is basically what our answer to answer this question. I'm looking at the camera over here. I'm sorry about that, folks. I should be facing this camera. He would basically, he would fuck Darkseid up. Goku, on the other hand, he would step it up gradually when the Justice League is having a hard time versus Darkseid. Anyway, let's move on to our next. I hope that does answer your question, Niazo. Let's share a screen here. But I'm glad you bring that up because we have Justice League director Zack Snyder. Yeah. He's got some thoughts, folks. Moving on to our next topic, which is Zack Snyder has a problem with canon respect. So, yeah. The concept of respecting canon, you're protecting your god in a weird way. So let's look into why Zack Snyder would say something stupid like this. But then again, Zack Snyder has been saying a lot of stupid things lately. To the surprise of absolutely no one, after all, this is the same man who thought Ezra Miller playing a dollar store Peter Parker was a perfect representation of Barry Allen, former DCEU architect. Zack Snyder has admitted that he has no love for the concept of character canon. The Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, and the original Justice League director offered his thoughts on the topic while making a headline appearance in the 2114th episode of the Joe Rogan Experience. Oh, Joe Rogan's been doing that show for quite some time, it seems. Pressed by the show's eponymous host, for his reaction to the more heavy levels of scrutiny the DC films have received over the comic book fans, Snyder opined, that's a lifestyle choice for a lot of people. It's not a movie. If I made a romantic comedy, you'd be like, okay, that was fun. The people who love, and by the way, I love that they feel this passionately, in no way would I criticize that because I live the same life. Because for me, it's morning, noon, and night. But for those guys, it's not just a movie. And so you have to, on some level, acknowledge that this is their religion, and they feel strongly about it. And the truth is, it's my religion too. So, turning to the grievances fans have had with his darker, more brutalistic take on the DC roster of superheroes, Snyder then admitted, I tend to get in trouble because I do not take the deconstructionist view. Because of The Dark Knight Returns, because of Watchmen. If you read those two comics, it's hard to go back, and it's because I care that I want to take them apart. People are always like, Batman can't kill. Batman can't kill as canon. He explained on his creative philosophy. And I'm like, okay, the first thing I want to do when you say that is I want to see what happens. He has ODD, oppositional defiant disorder. If you tell him one thing, he's going to want to see why. I have that problem, folks. And you know what? I'm going to close this because, I keep on looking over here because this is where the camera is. I should be looking over here because this is where the active camera is. So I'm sorry about that, folks. Oh, it's in my head. So getting back to it. Yeah. And so they go, well, don't put him in a situation where he has to kill someone. And I'm like, you're just protecting your God in a weird way. You're making your God irrelevant if he can't be in that situation. Or he has to now deal with that. If he goes to that, what does it mean? Does he stand up to do it? Can he survive that as a God, as your God? You know, he's not exactly wrong here, folks. Following the brief detour in which he took a moment to offer praise to Frank Miller's deconstruction of the Dark Knight in the aforementioned Dark Knight Returns comic series, Snyder then affirmed that's where like Frank Miller takes Batman and just tears him in half. And you got to now come out of the other side of that, and Batman is still the hero. Batman has never really been a hero. He's been more of a vigilante that sometimes does the right thing. Batman still does the right thing. he mains his code, his ethics. He doesn't change, but like our perception of him changes. So continuing on to this end, drawing on his thoughts on canon to a close, Snyder then argued, but a lot of the fandom, who I feel like have gotten to a same place I have with the characters where they need to test them. And I feel like the character, it's been my experience. I have the hiccups. It's been my experience that the character have not let us down, said the Rebel Moon creator. Excuse me, folks. These myths have not let us down. You put them on a ragged edge into that scenario, and they have to come out the other side, and you're like, yeah, there's a reason why Superman is Superman. Superman. He can handle it. He can effing take it because he's so iconic. So that is the end of that. As for Zack Snyder, I kind of think he has a point. If you're if you are constantly having to follow the same rules over and over, and you don't test your character, you don't test their morals, you don't challenge their morals, and you don't test the possibility of having to break their morals, well, you then are faced with problems of stagnation. You are tested with the problem of the same shit in a different shell. The same story, same character, but different actions. By having Batman kill, it doesn't necessarily mean you are ruining Batman. It simply means that he has been put into a place in which he has no choice. If he has to kill, he will make sure that is damn near the last resort. So yes, there is that whole argument to be made. As for Superman, same argument. He doesn't have to kill anybody, but if he has no choice but to, then he's going to. So Zack Snyder saying that character canon, not just story canon, but character canon, and that people are holding on to some of these things. If I do remember, my Batman, the Batman I grew up with, which was before the animated series, Batman did kill. He killed the Joker. Batman killed a clown in Batman Returns. Fucking threw him in a trash can with a bomb and blew that fucker up. He knew that he can't waste time with these characters. If I can't knock this guy out in 2 punches, well, then I'm sorry. I have a bigger problem to deal with. I can't waste time with this guy, so I'm going to blow his ass up instead. That way, he's not going around hurting other people. So I don't see the problem here. I always grew up with a Batman that did kill. So yes, it will challenge people. It'll make people think, "Oh my God, he's a killer," or he's a killer. He's no better than the people that he fights. Actually, he is better. And here's why. He's willing to do what is necessary. That lovely trope that was used in Batman Begins that he refuses to do. 1 second. Like killing. I'm not going to kill you, but I don't have to save you. Guess what he's technically doing to Ra's al Ghul there? Well, he's killing him. Yeah. He straight up killed Ra's al Ghul through inaction. There still is responsibility laid there. So, with that being said, let's get on to the other topic. Because I could argue the whole Batman not killing thing a lot, folks. But I would rather move on to the next topic here. Which is does Bill Skarsgård look in the Crow remake mean it will suck? Now, I could easily give a simple answer to this. I won't. Because the simple answer is, but let's do that. Did you see what I did there, by the way? I said I wasn't going to do it, and then I did it. Whoops. So, Bill Skarsgård look in the Crow reimagining deviates from the original, but does that mean it will suck? And this is from Dante Erics from Bounding into Comics. Shout out to you. A movie gets torched, yet it is bereft of ashes. This is true about every remake that is meted out to a wary audience. Jokes are made, lines are drawn, but the movie is still released, and with an estimated $50 million budget, why wouldn't it be? Now, first look of Bill Skarsgård as the Crow, or in the Crow remake. You see what he looks like. You see his body tattoos, how they look weird, and whatnot. And the internet exploded when it got a sneak peek at the upcoming reimagining of The Crow. And the outcry from fans was enough to wake the dead. Director Rupert Sanders has decided to take the look of Eric Draven, played by Bill Skarsgård. I don't know why that's red, but whatever. In a different direction from that was made by the iconic by the late actor Brandon Lee. Now, folks, I respect the hell out of the movie The Crow, the one that stars Brandon Lee. And I have often said I am not a fan of the aesthetic of this new one. However, it is not going to be enough to say that the movie is probably going to suck. I'm sorry, I just won't say that because I haven't seen the movie. You know? I haven't seen the movie. So, yeah. When the images were released by Vanity Fair, the first thing people noticed was how much of a resemblance the reimagined Draven bears to the Joker, played by Jared Leto, in the 2016 movie Suicide Squad. His appearance has also been compared to that of the street mime who has an addiction to methamphetamine, which is only made worse by the weird chest tattoos. Meth addicts. Let me ask you something, folks. Do meth addicts have a body that is sculpted like that? Do they? Anybody who made that comparison, you're a fucking idiot. You are a fucking idiot. I keep making the mistake to looking over at the camera over here. So I'm going to do something here, folks. I'm going to take this because apparently I have to. I'm going to put it over here just to kind of there we go. That should make it easier. Yeah, that should make it easier. So, yeah, no offense, folks. If you think that a meth addict looks like that, you're kind of stupid. Unless they're a new meth addict and just getting hooked on the shit and had a good cut physique. So yes, the internet exploded when it got a snake. Yeah. Um, where's the chest tattoos? With a getup like this, there's no denying that he possibly could have just been brought back to life to steal catalytic converters from a few cars around the neighborhood. But the most resounding grievance has been the Breaking Bad Skarsgård doesn't look like Brendan Lee's interpretation of the character. And this is all right. It's not meant to, folks. You got to accept that not everybody is going to look exactly like Brendan Lee. You got to accept the fact that some people are just going to look different. Cover up the tattoos, especially the chest area, and it's not too far out of or off from the creator, James O'Barr's original design of the 1989 Caliper Press comic. The series would only go on for a year before ending, and Draven was finally laid to rest. Oh, yeah, there you go. People often forget it was a comic. Now, even though he was temporarily resurrected for a 6-issue team-up series through London Knight Studios and a 10-issue series from Image Comics and Reimagined Plot, however, he was not the only person brought back by the supernatural Corvus. Without mentioning the movie sequels, and you are welcome. One of the others to be resurrected was Michael Corby. Don't know who that is? Allow me to tell you the story. He and his wife were murdered in a carjacking, and he revs up his way through the 3 issues of Payback with Crow Wild Justice from Kitchen Sink Press. Well, that is definitely one odd-looking crow, wouldn't you think? The Crow's Wild Justice, issue 3, yeah. Then, in The Crow Pestilence from IDW, Salvador, a boxer from Juarez, refuses to take a dive in a fight for a drug cartel. In response, they murder him and his entire family. Years later, Salvador is is back on his feet, above ground, with a mind for revenge and redemption, just like Draven and Corby. Except his punk mohawk, look, and combat boots don't exactly match either of his predecessors. Yeah, I would definitely say they don't. Neither do the tattoos. So, yeah. It does make one wonder, doesn't it? In another case that kind of fits with the Latin motif, altar boy David Amadio and his girlfriend Sarah are murdered. Sounds familiar, especially with that name. By a terrorist attack while vacationing in Rome. He rises again to seek holy vengeance against the terrorists while trying to discover who orchestrated the attack in the 4-issue mini The Crow Memento Mori by Roberto Rascioni and IDW Publishing 2018. There have been a total of 15 different incarnations of the book or of the character in the comic books alone. This does not include the 8 novels or the 3 movies. Yes, you are still welcome. The point is that they also don't look like Brandon Lee's Eric Draven. And they don't have to, just as Bill Skarsgård doesn't have to either. It doesn't necessarily mean Rupert Sanders' take is going to be a terrible movie. There is no replacing Brendan Lee, and that is correct as well. Or his amazing performance in that great movie will always exist. It would be a greater dishonor if Lionsgate had tried to replace him and the movie more overtly, or worse, tried to copy them instead of like those damn sequels. Because yes, when you look at the sequels, which I have, I've seen them, hair, makeup, all identical. So yeah, it kind of just gets monotonous. Having a person look different, folks, is a new take. Doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be good or bad. It's a new take. So let's continue. That is something that would have been more unforgivable than a matching pair of eye nips, or nip eyes, rather. If the movies we love are remade, the way for them to live on is to never stop watching them. Releases underperform, executives are fired, people forget. But real art is forever. Now, that's funny. That is funny. Because if you catch that, releases underperform, executives are fired, people forget, but real art is forever. Buildings burn, people die. But real love is forever was a line from The Crow from Brendan Lee's last film. So yeah, I gotta say, I agree with this take. Although, how would you compare Bill Skarsgård's Crow with Brendan Lee? You're not. It's apples and oranges, man. I have not seen it yet, Neozoic. How can I compare it if I haven't seen it? You know, I've only seen what he looks like. I have not seen him in action. So, yeah, that is kind of hard to really answer because if I haven't seen him, I can't really compare it now, can I? Brendan Lee's interpretation of Eric Draven is iconic. No one is ever going to dispute that. No one ever is going to say, well, unless they're SJWs and constantly needing the modernity and the proper representation and all that shit. What Brendan Lee did in The Crow, that movie was iconic. When this movie comes out, I'll take a look at it. I'll give it a watch. And I'll make my decision then. Will I say that it is better than the original? Depends. I'll do a comparison between the two. Most likely. Down the line, down the road. But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to suck simply because we have Bill Skarsgård with a bunch of freaking tattoos all over his body. That was a creative decision that, while not aesthetically pleasing, does not harm the quality of the film because we haven't seen the film yet. And yes, while we can make our own assumptions and based on information that we have, we can say, well, yeah, the look doesn't look too good, but it all depends. We haven't seen a trailer yet. When we see a trailer, now, yes, I have written off movies before I have seen them, folks. I will fully admit that I have written off movies before I have seen them. Movies like The Marvels. I wrote that off because I knew it was going to be bad, because that is all the MCU is capable of right now. They're not capable of doing anything good. Honestly, they aren't. I mean, The Marvels sucked. They got punished because it didn't perform well. And it didn't perform well because a lot of people are awake to the fact that, well, people just don't like when the talent decides to throw insults at people. Well, maybe the people shouldn't throw insults at the talent. Your jobs are to entertain. Your jobs are not to be political and socio-commentators. You are simply here on this earth as part of your contract to fucking entertain the masses. I don't give a damn what your political opinion is. And honestly, I don't give a damn of what you think about what's going on in another country. All I care about is, can you do your job, do a good performance, and have some quality at it while you're doing it. If you think that your job as an actor is to educate people or indoctrinate children or something, you're in the wrong profession. Bill Skarsgård, as far as I know, all he cares about is entertaining people. That's what Brendan Lee also cared about. He cared about doing a good job making sure people liked his stuff. And I think that he did a good job with that. Now, as for Bill Skarsgård, I will give this movie a watch. I will check it out. And I will make my decision on whether or not the movie sucks or doesn't suck based on performance, cinematography, score, acting talent, cast, directing, setting, and all of those other objective qualities of the film. I'm not going to say the movie's going to suck simply because of Bill Skarsgård's makeup and body tattoos being aesthetically displeasing. Those are my thoughts on this, folks. So, yeah. Moving on to our last topic. And this one hurts to report on, folks. Akira Toriyama, the creator of the Dragon Ball manga, has passed away. So, yes, I said when I did my eulogy video for this that I would provide more on his character and the life of Akira Toriyama. So with that, I am going to read from this Bounding into Comics article. Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama passes away at 68 from a reported acute subdural hematoma. In a moment that truly no fan ever really fathomed would come, famed Dragon Ball creator Akira Toriyama passed on to the other world. The news of the famed mangaka's passing was first broken on March 7th, courtesy of official Dragon Ball website. We are deeply saddened to inform you that the manga creator, Akira Toriyama, passed away on March 1st due to acute subdural hematoma. Reads the news update, co-authored between Dragon Quest co-creator's own Bird Studio and the newly founded entity in charge of the Dragon Ball RT or IP, Capsule Corporation Tokyo. Dear friends and partners. He was an age of 68. It is our deep regret that he still had several works in the middle of creation with great enthusiasm. Also, he would have many more things to achieve. However, he has left many manga titles and works of art to this world. Thanks to the support of so many people around the world, he has been able to continue his creative activities for over 45 years. We hope that Akira Toriyama's unique world of creation continues to be loved by everyone for a long time to come. We inform you of this sad news with gratefulness for your kindness during his lifetime. Funeral services was held with his family and very few relatives. Following his wishes for tranquility, we respectfully inform you that he would not accept flowers, condolence gifts, visiting offerings, and others. We ask you to refrain from conducting interviews with his family. Future plan for commemorative gathering is not decided. We will let you know when it's confirmed. We deeply thank you for your understanding and support as always. So, yeah. I mean, folks, it hurts. So, moving on to his family, life. Born in Nagoya, Aichi, Japan in 1955, Toriyama's interest in manga was first sparked, according to the mangaka himself, by Omazu Tezuka's seminal Astro Boy. And though he would spend much of his childhood doodling away, his high school years would see his artistic ambitions take a back seat to his burgeoning social life. When the time finally came to graduate, rather than go on to college, Toriyama chose to enter the workforce. Finding work as a poster designer for an advertising agency, the future manga superstar would eventually choose to leave this position, finding that ultimately the corporate life was not the life for him. However, a man cannot live on hopes and dreams alone. Toriyama soon found himself in desperate need of cash and in order to keep supporting himself. And after a chance reading of Kodansha's weekly shonen magazine at a coffee shop, he decided to solve his money woes by entering into the magazine's then currently ongoing open submission contest. Unfortunately, he did not complete his submission in time to meet Kodansha's deadline. But when one door closes, another opens, and he soon thereafter discovered that weekly shonen magazine competitor, Shueisha Weekly Shonen Jump, held their own contests every month. Though his first submission to his eventual home magazine would be rejected for being a parody of Star Wars, rather than an original work, after receiving encouragement to continue practicing from the editor who reviewed his work, none other than Kazuhiko Torishima, would eventually serve as his editor on both Dr. Slump and the Kid Goku years of Dragon Ball. Toriyama eventually produced Wonder Island, which, after being deemed acceptable by Shueisha, would go on to become his first officially published manga. Though both Wonder Island and its sequel, Wonder Island 2, were complete misses with Shonen Jump's readership, the mangaka refused to abandon his creative dreams, instead committing himself to finding commercial success. As a result of his tenacity, 1980 would see Toriyama produce a work that would launch him into manga stardom, Dr. Slump. Though Toriyama only intended for Dr. Slump to run for a maximum of 6 months, thanks to its runaway success, Weekly Shonen Jump editorial would not allow him to bring it to an end until he delivered them a different series to take its place. Thus, the adventures of the series' purple-haired android antagonist Arale ultimately ended up going on for a total of 4 years and 236 chapters. Arale. I do remember Arale from Dragon Ball. So, what would Toriyama eventually deliver in 1984 to allow him to bring Dr. Slump to a close? Well, thanks to a suggestion from the aforementioned Torishima, and he combined his loves for both manga and kung fu movies, Toriyama brought Shueisha a journey into the West parody that, unbeknownst to them at the time, would someday be one of the most venerated and most profitable series, Dragon Ball. Notably, though he had his hands full with the burgeoning adventures of Son Goku, the mid-1908s still raw Toriyama found the time to lend his services again at the nudging of Torishima to a then upcoming RPG title known as Dragon Quest. And while his breakout success of the series' first entry would see Toriyama serve as the franchise's overall art director from then on out, it would also see him and his fellow Dragon Quest creator Yuji Horii reach such acclaim that they would eventually be tapped to work with Final Fantasy creator Hironobu Sakaguchi on what remains to this day perhaps one of the most widely lauded video games of all time, Chrono Trigger. I've never heard of it, unfortunately. I'm sorry about that. Of course, all good things must come to an end, and after all, that's the entire reason for this article's authoring, isn't it? And after 11 years of making readers wish they could shoot energy from their hands, Toriyama eventually brought Dragon Ball to a close in 1985. His final page seeing Goku in the reincarnated form of Majin Buu, Oob, fly off into the sunset towards some unknown horizon. But then came Dragon Ball Evolution, produced by 20th Century Fox in 2009, Toriyama found the live-action adaptation to be so absolutely terrible that out of fear that the film would serve as a defining image of his creation, in the minds of millions, he powered up once more to produce the animated Dragon Ball Z Battle of the Gods and Resurrection F cinematic outings. And rather than return to retirement, Toriyama would then instead team up with the mangaka Toyotaro to produce the official sequel to Dragon Ball Super, which ostensibly had been working on until his death. What's there left to say? Thank you for everything, Toriyama. Rest in peace. I mean, folks, when it comes to the life of Akira Toriyama, I don't know much about his life except for what I read or what I read in that article. But his life or his work, Dragon Ball Z, and Super, and yes, even GT, and the games that were spawned from it, and all of that stuff, it shaped my childhood. And it has shaped the childhoods and adult lives of many people. Akira Toriyama is responsible, ultimately, for creating a contender against Superman. Where we all here in America have Superman, Japan had Son Goku. A character that is, in my opinion, can beat Superman until some genius at DC Comics created the stupid rule that God himself made Superman unerasable, meaning you can't instantly kill him, which is convenient because Goku knows the move of the Hakai, which is an instant kill. However, I still stand by my versus series that I did, my versus episode that I did of Goku versus Superman. And with all of the updated transformations that he's gone through in Super, it still does very much put Goku ahead. Goku was a pure of heart character. And as I said in my tribute video to Akira Toriyama, I absolutely love the story of what led to the birth of the Super Saiyan transformation. Toriyama ran out of black ink. So he created a form in which his characters could transform and become stronger and not have to keep using black ink. So yeah, when it came to my favorite part of Dragon Ball Z, which truly did shape my love for it, because I didn't see it all in sequence, folks. I came into a little bit of Dragon Ball here and there, a little bit of Dragon Ball Z here and there, caught a little bit of the Frieza saga, but when I completely started paying attention to it was during the Cell saga, specifically the Cell games. When I saw a character scream out in rage, pure, heartbroken, and unadulterated rage, taking on somebody who could literally blow up the earth and turn it back against him like it was nothing. And then see that kid get lost in his own power, letting go to his head and learning a very hard lesson that his father had to bail him out at the cost of his life. Damn, that puts some thoughts in a person's head. Respecting power goes a long way, and not letting it go to your head allows one to stay humble, because otherwise you have to live with the consequences that are more tragic. Humility is a very important thing. And Goku always holds on to his humility. And you will see that anytime he allows his surety to go to his head, he screws up. Remember, he let Frieza live and let Vegeta get or take over the fight against Golden Frieza. And then the Earth was destroyed as a result of Goku's hubris because he didn't remain humble. He got arrogant. Notice the consequences that often happen when when your humility slips. Yeah. I respect Akira Toriyama for that. I respect him greatly for creating things like that. Now, yes, while there are similar stories like that throughout so many other stories, it was his iteration of that kind of lesson that I saw that day. And it resonated so powerfully that I was completely hooked. I went back and I watched all the original Dragon Ball, the Dragon Ball Z show from the Saiyan saga on. I paid attention to all of it. And yes, while Dragon Ball Super may not be the most canonist or canon following and whatnot, and also does a lot of character inconsistency due to Vegeta, I can still find joy in the show. And while, yes, there is also the Dragon Ball GT interpretations, I found that was interesting as well, albeit a little too heavy on the humor, especially the inappropriate humor. But I still found that yes, I know that GT had nothing to do with him, but I still found it was a nice tribute to his content. So, to Akira Toriyama, you've earned a rest that few others talk about. A blissful rest in that you have created something that will live on for generations. People from my childhood, still talk about Dragon Ball Z, still talk about Dragon Ball Super. And earlier or now newer generations are still talking about it because it is such a great series. I may never have read the manga itself, folks, but what I have seen of it, the shows, the movies, it's enough for me to make me a fan. And while I may never delve all the way into it as a serious manga fan, I'm content where I am at with it. Enough to call myself a fan. And so, Akira Toriyama, may you rest in peace. You have done what very few others have done. You created something that will last generations. You're right up there with Stan Lee, man. You are right up there with Stan Lee. And you, sir, or for anybody who knows comics and manga and anime and whatnot, and magazine-based content of a comic variety, that's saying something. Anyway, let's get through the chat here because I have neglected it. Rest in peace. Yep. Hey, Dark Zathra, good to see you. Kamen Rider. Also, Toriyama influenced the whole shonen genre, which without Toriyama we wouldn't have Naruto, One Piece, Bleach. Exactly. I like Naruto. I like Shippuden. I have not seen Boruto. And hello there, Geek Detective Pierce. Good to see you. as an attack on myself, I will mention that without Dragon Ball, some wouldn't mention about the other influences that it had, even have references to other IPs. Yeah. Yu Yu Hakusho and the Dragon Ball series is connected because of a character being in, or the same character being in both animes. King Yama, the Ogre King of the Afterlife. So yeah, I find it pretty interesting. Those two are kind of interconnected a little bit. So that, folks, is going to be the weekly recap. I know I did it early, but that is because we got the Raven Awards tonight on OMB Reviews' channel. He will be going live in our boycott of the Oscars. Instead of watching the Oscars, let's instead watch the Raven Awards. Because the Raven Awards are a lot better than anything that the Oscars in Hollywood will do. That's just a circle jerk. The award ceremonies in Hollywood mean nothing nowadays, because all they care about is oh, you're this skin color, you automatically deserve success. You're that skin color. Well, we're trying to make other people feel represented, so we don't care about you. Yes, they've become racist, focusing everything on sexuality, race, and that's about it. Anyway, folks, hey, Vanya, and it's okay, bub. You can always catch the replay. So, yes, check out the Raven Awards. I do believe it's going to be around 7 or 8 o'clock. I do believe around 7, because that's when the Oscars start. OMB Reviews channel is where you can find them. Make sure you sub to OMB Reviews. Odin is a good man. I mod his chat, so don't be inappropriate in his chat. He likes to keep everything PG-13. So make sure that you guys check out the Raven Awards tonight. It's going to be great. Dragon Ball is like all those other franchises, like The Simpsons, Arthur, Scooby-Doo, Family Guy, and others that are worldly popular. Yes. And Vanya, you definitely might want to catch the replay of this, because I'm sorry, the aesthetic of the character may not be pleasing. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't really make a judgment call on how the rest of the movie will be. So make sure you watch the replay. Anyway, folks, that is going to be the end. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Stay tuned for Tuesday. I will be doing The Shining versus Dr. Sleep for a Tuesday theme stream. And then I will be on the Barroom podcast. And then we'll be talking Leprechaun on my friend Jade Shadow's channel, and then 13th Warrior Thursday night. So thank you to everybody who came in. Neozoic, Pierce, Cayman Rider, Zathra, Vanya, and anybody else who is in the chat. You guys are all freaking awesome, and thank you so much for following my content. I still need another good 200 hours more to go to get to 4,000. If you just get me over that hump, I will finally be able to fully monetize when I'm able to fully monetize. So, folks, if you can help me just get over that hump, I'm stuck on 3,900. So please do what you can to help me get over that hump, please. And then we just got to get me up to 2,000 subs. Anyway, folks, thank you so much. You all are freaking awesome. See you tonight at OMB Reviews' Raven Awards. If not, see you at see you throughout the week. Anyway, this has been Orange Chat. Stay humble.